the Chicago Bulls were granted permission to interview one of my favorite coaching candidates for the Chicago Bulls, and that's Chris Quinn. And while Chris Quinn is coming over from a winning organization, as a lot of people on Bryson Graham's list is, I also want to talk about this thought process that some Bulls fans have that just because you hire from a winning organization, it automatically means that culture comes over with you, because it doesn't necessarily mean that. So we're going to talk about both those things, but I'm also want to talk about how this offseason has already done so much to hopefully course correct the Chicago Bulls. I think Bulls fans, we are in the midst of one of the luckiest and most promising off seasons that we've ever had. We're going to talk about that, plus dive into the mailbag and hear from your voicemails, all that and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content today, y'all. Before we do that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, man. We're getting closer and closer to our goal of 50,000 subscribers. I can't say how much that means. Like, when you look at the growth that this channel has had during this offseason, it's just overall in the 4.5 years that we've been around, it's all because of you guys. And I want to keep in mind and keep thanking you guys for this, because while I may be the host of this show and the face and voice you guys see or hear, depending on how you interact with this podcast, it is truly because of you guys that this platform has grown in the way that it has been. And as we continue to grow, I want to make sure that you guys know that I am eternally grateful for everything that you guys have done to help this channel grow. With that said, let's go ahead and get into the content today, y'all. So, as many of you guys have probably seen, in my excitement in the breaking news episode that I was able to drop on it, is that the Chicago Bulls have been granted permission to interview one of the lead assistants with the Miami Heat, and that's Chris Quinn. Now, Chris Quinn has worked under Erik Spoelstra since 2014, right? He becomes now the 10th reported candidate that is connected to Bryson Graham's coaching search. We'll talk more a little bit that in a second. So with Miami Heat giving permission for Chris Quinn to interview, this is really good. It means that Bryson Graham is casting a wide net, and that's really what this is. I think that Chris Quinn, and the way that he started in player development before becoming a key assistant, working himself up, he is viewed as one of Erik Spoelstra's most trusted voices, right? Chris Quinn isn't just another name. He's a development guy who's been inside one of the most respected organizations in the league for 12 years. And so there is something that comes along with that, right? And so, hopefully that continues to grow and develop for this team, and, it ends up working out. And, the thing is, I do want to point out with this, right? And this is the thing that kind of leads us down the path of the conversation that I want to go. While Chris Quinn has worked hard, like, you put him right up there with the Dave Blisses and the Sean Sweeneys and all of that, like, he is right up there as some of the most promising candidates in the list. And while some guys were left off that list, like, you guys bringing up Jason Kidd, Rajon Rondo brought off the list, stuff like that, I think that it's what he's been able to do. He trained under one of the best coaches in the league, the consistency in which the Miami Heat took undrafted players and turned that into a playoff team. Somebody asked a great question, right, in the comment section. And they said, well, how does what Chris Quinn did development-wise compare to, like, what Jason Kidd did development-wise with guys like Giannis and Cooper Flagg and the other guys that he's developed between those guys? And I'll say this. I think that Chris Quinn and the Miami Heat had to do more with less, if that makes sense, because you talk about, Jason Kidd helped develop Giannis. And while I want to be clear, nobody thought Giannis was going to turn into what he turned into. There was promise there, and he helped develop Cooper Flagg and set a tone there. He helped some with Luka, like, helped turn that team into a team that went to the NBA Finals, right? Like, so he's done development. But I think when you look at the Miami Heat, like, they did it without it being a bunch of lottery picks, right? They did it without it being, that, like I said, turning undrafted players into legit NBA caliber players, right? And that comes down to Pat Riley identifying the talent, Erik Spoelstra creating the structure, and Chris Quinn being part of that structure and helping develop those guys. So I think they're both really successful in doing that, right? But I want to talk about this thought process that Heat culture transfer over to Chicago. And it doesn't, right? That's not the way that it works, right? Now, I don't want Heat culture in Chicago. I want elements of that to build our own Chicago Bulls culture because we haven't had that. I hope that any of those guys can do it, right? But I need fans to understand that success is not always transferable, right? You look at, for example, Luke Walton came from a championship team, wasn't successful in either of his stops as a head coach. We hired Arturas Karnisovas from the Denver Nuggets. Wasn't there. Wes Unseld, somebody who's on our coaching staff now, right? Went from a successful organization and didn't work out as a head coach. Now, that doesn't mean that that's universal. There have been some coaches that have come from winning organizations or execs. Sam Presti, originally being with the Spurs, right? Definitely worked himself up in doing that. So there's examples and bad examples of that happening. But I say that to say this, it's about finding the right person, not just the right resume. That is something what you have. I get why fans say things like, oh, we need to be hiring from OKC or San Antonio. Somebody left that comment like, we only should be looking at guys from that staff. But at the same time, like I said, success isn't always transferable. It's about hiring the right person in front of you for the job, not just the resume. And some of y'all know, some of y'all, because of y'all resume, got jobs y'all probably didn't deserve, right? Like, we've all done it. Hey, so with Bryson Graham in this coaching search, it just has to be about finding the right guy for how Bryson Graham wants to fit, wants to build, and what he wants to do with this team. But that brings me to the next topic in this one, right? Bryson Graham's offseason, or let's say this, the Chicago Bulls offseason should already be, and it seems like it is, instilling more faith. Now, I've said this before, having faith and getting results are different things. But I think there's been a nice step made in the right direction of instilling new faith in the Chicago Bulls, right? And we're going to talk about that. Like, let's just look at the Bulls and the official names that are on the board. I said before, like, he joins a list of like almost 10 names now. Sean Sweeney with the San Antonio Spurs. Mike Onori, one of the most respected long-term assistants in the league. Dave Bliss with the OKC Thunder, somebody who I had to do my research on because I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't even hear the name of Dave Bliss before he popped up in the Bulls coaching search. And when I went and looked at what he did, looked at how players talked about him, Coach Mike Dangle has talked about him, Sam Presti's talked about him, fell in love with that. Tiago Splitter, the interim head coach with the Portland Trailblazers, right? And you even Lamar Skeeter, Ryan Smith, Jerry Stackhouse, Chris Quinn, like these guys, like it seems, other than Wes Unseld Jr. and James Borrego, who are the two names that kind of stand out on this list to me, is like, why are you here? But then again, like I said before, it's about hiring the right guy, not the right resume. But when you look at what Bryson Graham is doing with this coaching search, I think already it shows a different level of just competency in casting that wide net and culture building, right? And that's what this offseason could really be for the Chicago Bulls, is the offseason that we look at and go back and say, this is where the Chicago Bulls culture shift, and for a few different reasons. I want to start off with, it really has seemed, right? Like, and when I say seem, please don't take offense by that. I just say it because we haven't seen the results yet. So that's the only reason why I say seem, right? But it seemed like the AK situation failing really woke up Michael Reinsdorf. It really seems like that. And that is for people who, the fans that every time anything good or bad comes up with the Bulls, like, oh, it doesn't matter because ownership is still there. Like, when you say stuff like that, like, here's the thing, the ownership isn't going to change, but that doesn't mean, as far as the person, but that doesn't mean the mindset. If you truly have a level of awareness that you can't wake up to where your faults have been. It seems like so far that Michael Reinsdorf has really woken up. It was a wake-up call for him, how bad the AK situation went and how much it really turned a fan base against the organization, right? So that's the first thing. The hiring of Bryson Graham, getting a young exec who has more of a modern approach to team building, front office building, development, identifying talent, all of that. I think that already was a shift, right? And then his first front office hires of Stephen Mervis and AC Law, they continued that modern front office approach and having the right people around you, right? Not having the traditional structure that the Chicago Bulls have had. Basically to say this, Bryson Graham and what he said in his introductory press conference has lived up to everything that he said about that so far, right? I just talked about the coaching search, the list of candidates that you see there. It feels like Bryson Graham is looking for a solid head coach who can not only relate to players with the type mindset, the coaching style, the focus on development, all that type of stuff, the modern team building approach. That is something that this Bulls team has lacked so much. How much have we talked about the lack of development? Yeah, IO, Modest, they developed here. Not to say that no player developed, but we haven't had the structure where it felt like that has been a focus and that we get every drop of the most talent out of the players, right? So when you bring in and talk about guys like Bliss, Quinn, Sweeney, all those type of guys, those are guys that are coming from good culture franchises who have won. We don't have an official hire yet, so we can't say exactly, and we need to see how how the official hire brings back confidence. But it does seem like, for what it's worth, this offseason has rebuilt Bulls fans' confidence to a degree. Then you look at the draft prospect of it. Like, I think that we have got so caught up in the weeds of the draft, which is fun. Everybody's having fun with it, and I love that we are back having fun as Bulls fans. But moving up from number 4, up to number 4 from number 9, and also getting the number 15th pick because Portland made the playoffs, the Bulls already got lucky twice. Now we need to take that luck and turn that luck into realized talent with the players that we draft there. But I think people overlook, like, this was a draft where the top 4 were all in a completely different tier than the rest of the draft, but this is still a very deep draft, right? So you now get to double dip in a way. You get to cherry, you get to be in the top 4, which per every draft expert, every analyst, everything, the talent in there are all 4 players that can literally change the direction of your franchise. You have that opportunity. Then you sit there at number 15 in a deep draft, and the player that you can draft at number 15 would probably easily be a top 10 pick, depending on who you get in most drafts. So you have an opportunity to add some really good talent to this team. What is this team be missing more than anything? Is talent, right? Now, I want to bring all this together by saying this. Time will tell how successful this offseason really is for the Chicago Bulls, right? And that's going to have to be told over time, over long term, and that's going to have to be done. But for what it's worth, the Bulls now are in a situation and position where they can completely change the direction of where this franchise was going. And then on top of that, they have already reinstilled faith in so many Bulls fans. Now, there are a lot of Bulls fans that are still going to be pessimistic until we actually start winning and doing so consistently, and that's fine. But offseason is all about chance and opportunity. I didn't even mention the cap space in that. I didn't even mention that. So, like, this is a truly transformative offseason potentially for the Bulls. And for once, I feel like I have more faith in the person that's going to lead that than what I've had the last few years. And I think many of you guys relate to that too. With that said, let's move on, man. Let's get into the mailbag. Saturday, it's mailbag day here at Chicago Bulls Central. This first voicemail that we got today, a lot of these voicemails are all from first-time callers, by the way. I'm trying to, with you guys have been going off in the voicemail bag, so I'm trying to highlight first-time callers for my guys, my old veterans that have been here for a while. If your voicemails aren't used as much here in the next week or so, as much as they were in the past, it's only because we got so many new people. I do want the new people's voice to get a chance, but because of that, I'm gonna probably work in 1 to 2 voicemails on every episode all next week because I want everybody's voice to get heard. So I will be playing those voicemails. Just give me a little bit of patience, right? With that said, let's get into this first voicemail from first-time caller, and that's Sean.
Peace. What up, Haize? First-time caller, long-time listener, man. Really appreciate the platform. This is Sean from the 773. Long-time Bulls fan, man. Bulls Central has definitely kept me invested as a fan. I moved from Chicago almost 10 years ago and been riding with this team, through stints living in Tennessee. Now I'm in the land surrounded by a bunch of Cavalier fans, but I'm still down for my Chicago Bulls. But what prompted my call tonight was really the last episode where you talked about the future head coach for the Bulls. And I've got a theory on someone who I think would be perfect for this team. And that is Erik Stackhouse. Now, for those of us who came up in like the 90s, 2000 era, we remember him as a high flyer, high scorer, no nonsense mentality, a leader, a guy who exuded leadership on the floor and since as he's, propelled into coaching, you see that leadership. UNC elite, the mindset. I remember, back toward the latter years of MJ, as an opponent and also as a teammate with the Wizards, Stackhouse wasn't intimidated. So, I feel like he can come in and really not be intimidated by the allure and the mystique that surrounds the team. And, he's definitely got the coaching chops. He's gotten it out the mud. I think he was like in that first wave of former players that started getting into coaching around the time that the G League was really, taking off. I remember he won the Coach of the Year one year with the Raptors affiliate, and that team had, future NBA players on it with Siakam and Van Vliet. He spent some time in the college ranks down in Vanderbilt, won SEC Coach of the Year, and has since turned that into a stint with the Warriors, Team USA, where he's been able to build with some of the best, players in the league, the most talented stars. Again, they really respect him. The X factor in all of this, and I'll be quick to wrap it up. I go back to the Bulls training camp in 2023, I want to say, 2023, down in Nashville. And if you check the video, in the background, a couple of shots, I actually saw Stackhouse spotted him a few years back and was saying, he would make a nice next head coach. And come full circle a couple of years, we got an opportunity. I don't think he's going to be staying in Golden State. That team is, on his last leg. So he's ready for a head coaching opportunity. I think Chicago's, the perfect fit for him. So appreciate you taking it. Hopefully this wasn't too long-winded. Look forward to your feedback.
Listen, I want to point out here that Sean left this voicemail on May 12th. That is a full week before Jerry Stackhouse's name officially popped up in this. So good call out there by Sean. I'll say this, Jerry Stackhouse is a cool candidate. Now, he's not my favorite candidate, but he's not a bad candidate, right? Like, I think sometimes when I say somebody's not my favorite or whatever, or not a fave of mine, people take that as meaning that I think that it's bad. No, I don't think that Jerry Stackhouse is a bad candidate at all. Everything that you pointed out is well. And I know people like to look a lot at the Vanderbilt thing and the lack of success that he had there. And that's a fair thing. You want to judge everybody's coaching career, but I think what he's gone on and done and being assistant in Golden State and learning in that, I think, you got to learn from your first mistake. And Jerry Stackhouse has put him in a situation to do that. I don't hate, like I said, I don't hate. It's just, guys like Dave Bliss, Sean Sweeney, now, of course, Chris Quinn, those are all guys that I have well above, Jerry Stackhouse on my personal list. But like I said in the opening segment, it all comes down to not just the resume, the person. And Bryson Graham has to choose the right person. And if he chooses Jerry Stackhouse, cool. I'm gonna rock with it. And let's see what happens. All right, let's get into this next voicemail that we got, man. This one's from Jerry.
Yo, Haize, what's up, bro? It's Jerry from Discord. I just wanted to say that Bulls fans, we need to be patient with the team. We need to stop with the whole Acuff at 4 thing. I even keep telling everyone on Facebook that, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he's a small guard with bad defense. And like Joe Colley said, this is a big man's league. He's not worth it at 4 for us. If we stayed at 9, I would say, yeah, let's get him, but we can't pass on guys like Wilson and Boozer. Those guys are game changers and the best talent at us at 4. For me personally, I want Caleb Wilson because he fits the slap mode. His highlights are good and he's a good athlete, but at the same time, I'm leaning towards Boozer because he's more polished and has a jump shot. But you can't go wrong with either or, and mock drafts always change when we get closer towards the draft. Last thing I wanted to say is that I'm optimistic about Graham in charge. Right now, he's doing good things for us, but we need to slow down with the whole let's trade Giddey thing, and let Graham evaluate the team first. We still need a coach in place. But yeah, that's it for now, bro. Let me know what you think, man, and thanks for all the content you drop for us, and God bless.
Patience is key when you want to build the correct way. So great, spot on there. You have to be patient in how you build. And I think that, yeah, it could turn around quickly. If the top 4 pick lives up to everything and hits the ground and is more ready to go, that's why a guy like I mentioned, Cam Boozer, let's not talk about Cam Boozer like he's just some consolation prize. He's a lot more than that, right? He may be the most NBA ready right away. And if he hits the ground and comes in and plays really well initially, that can absolutely jumpstart your rebuild, right? And then the guy you get at number 15, if they work out. So yeah, it could take a couple of years. It could take 3 years. It could take, before the Bulls are really back to being a consistent playoff team that could win playoff series, right? Just getting to the playoffs isn't, it's a win, especially for where the Bulls were, but you want to actually have a chance. You want to have faith that no, we have a chance to win a series in this, maybe even win 2, right? And that's where you really start getting to the consistency part. So I give Bryson Graham time to build his vision for what the team's going to be and what he wants it to be. And hopefully that we build something sustainable and something that can last a very long time because we need that in Chicago. All right, let's get to this next voicemail, man. This one's from the 501.
Hey, how you doing, man? Shout out from Fayetteville, Arkansas, home of the Razorbacks and current home of Darius Acuff. Hey, I know you've been talking about him a lot as not good for your fourth pick, and I've been a Bulls fan since 1992. To be honest, I want whoever the Bulls think is going to help us win. That Darius Acuff is going to score first, second, and third. And if you followed Arkansas at all this year, you know that because of injury issues, Calipari basically told Darius Acuff, do not foul. I don't care how many points you give up. Don't foul anybody. So if you're not allowed to foul, your defense is not going to look good. Let's not forget that he was one of, if not the fastest players in the combine at the three-quarter court run, which means he's going to be killing it with Josh Giddey if you draft him. But again, I'm not here to tell you who to draft because I want the Bulls to draft someone that makes us relevant. If that's the kid from North Carolina, great. But don't we kind of have injury fears already? You already missed some time. Boozer's great if he's bigger than you. I mean, if you've watched any Duke games, you know he uses his size, not his athleticism, to get by people. Look, I want whoever the best player is when we come up there, because anywhere you point on our roster, there's a hole. Josh Giddey just signed a great big contract, and he's a 6'8" guard who the fan base isn't even sure they want on the team. Look, I'm not trying to pick who goes fourth. That's the reason why we have executives. I just want us to be good again, man. I just miss winning games and going to the playoffs. Thanks for your time, and I appreciate your show, man. I'll never miss the show. Thanks for all you do.
I have to fundamentally disagree with the notion that just because you aren't allowed to foul, it means that your defense is going to be trash. I would say this: if you can't guard without fouling in the NBA as a guard with the elite guards that you're going to have to guard, you're not going to be good defensively. So I hear what you're saying, and I'm not saying that in the back of the mind of a player doesn't affect how aggressive they are going to be on defense, but Darius Acuff was so bad defensively that I think it takes a lot, and he was also bad in the combine. Nobody's telling me he can't foul in the combine. Like, well, we heard from Stephen Noah that he was one of the worst players that he's ever seen defensively in the combine. So, but I say all that to say this, right? And I agree with you, is that whoever Bryson Graham drafts, just get it right. Like, that's it. Whatever Bryson Graham decides to do at number 4, like I said in my video when I initially talked the Darius Acuff rumors, it just comes down to if it ends up being right, then, hey, everybody's going to shut up about it. If people are going to question it initially, they're definitely going to question it. But if it ends up in the long term being the right decision that the Bulls should have made, people are going to sit there and say, all right, cool, we did it. We made the right decision. Let's move the fuck on. And that's really what it comes down to. Just get it right. Whatever you decide, get it right, because getting your first pick being wrong, as we saw with AK, it ruins a lot of the faith that fans are going to have in you. All right, let's go into the next voicemail, man. This one's from Oscar.
Hey, Haize, what's going on, brother? Oscar, long time no speak. Just been listening to all your podcasts and trying to came into my mind. This draft, everyone's pushing it as a generational draft, and everyone, the fan base is locked in until we have to take one of these guys. But I feel like I hope that this front office with the changes is keeping all options open in terms of how to build this team. I've seen one of the favorable things I've been seeing about this draft, the fact that it's a quote-unquote generational draft and you have 4 guys at the top that everybody covets, is that I've seen a lot of trade proposals to trade with the Bulls, like Dallas trading Derek Lively and the 9th pick to the Bulls for 4. I saw another one that said OKC so they can get some, they got 3 guys making $200 million so they can get some cap relief, trading Jalen Williams, the 6th pick, and to the Bulls for the 4th pick. And I'm like, man, at the end of the day, for example, with that Jalen Williams from the OKC thing, you're telling me I can get my starting shooting guard that would help Josh in the backcourt because he scores also, but he also, with his length, he's a great defender. You add him at 6, you could probably get Ade Mara, the center from Michigan, and at 15, you hope Cam or one of these guys falls to you. You're talking about you're cooking with fish grease, brother. So I just, these guys, these top 4 guys are amazing, and I would love to add any one of them to our team. But I hope that since other teams covet this draft so much, that we also keep our minds open for opportunities. Because let's say you can move back a couple spots, pick up a young guy, and pick up 2 future first-round picks, so that we're not just the build is not something like short-lived. That we keep adding assets to have a sustained run with these teams, just like OKC does. OKC still reaping the rewards of trades they made years ago, and right now their championship window looks like it's open for the next 10 to 15 years. But so I hope we keep all our options open and not just peg ourselves into, hey, we have to pick one of these guys. And my fault for that, with the whole peg thing. No homo. Thank you for accepting my call, brother. Looking forward to hear what you think.
This draft is deep, bro. It's very, very deep, man. You could get a player at 15 in this draft who could be a top 5 to 10 pick in some drafts. Like, that's legitimate. Somebody asked, like, where would Noah Essengay go in this draft? And it's a more difficult question to ask because Noah would have had a year of development himself. He would have had a year of, working and doing more, growing as a player. But, Noah Essengay probably would have been low first round, maybe second round pick in this draft. That's the level of talent that is in this draft. So you got to get real value out of it. I don't want to see the Bulls move out the top 4 because it's not just about getting, like, Bulls fans have to stop so much thinking about the asset part of it and think about the talent part of it. There is a talent drop-off from 4 to 6. It just is. Now, if Bryson Graham somehow identifies like, oh, no, this guy's just as good as anybody in the top 4 and moves down and gets him, people, like I said, people are going to question initially, but if it ended up being the right answer, people are going to be like, damn, Bryson cooked their ass. But I would say that I think that it's unlikely the Bulls trade out of the top 4 because of where we are, the talent that we need, and also the positions that are going to be there in the top 4 are all players at positions that we need drastically. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, don't count it out. We're not counting it out. Bryson Graham hasn't drafted for us yet. Like for on the Bears side of things, for Ryan Poles, I always say, hey, Ryan Poles is probably not going to go the way fans think in the first round because he typically doesn't. With Bryson, maybe that's the way that he starts doing, but you got to build that this season. All right, let's get to the next voicemail, man. This one's from Mello.
Yeah, what up, Haize? It's Mello. I just wanted to get you, basically find out what you had to say about this. Now, with the Bulls being in the 4th spot and potentially getting Wilson or maybe Boozer, I prefer Wilson, but either one of those guys that they get, what do you think that will leave Essengay? Because he's a forward too, and we already have Modest. I'm just curious because I know they said he's at 7 feet now, but has he put on weight? Because he was slim, so he's gonna be a slim 7-footer, kind of like Chet. So do they spot him to the center position with Wilson at the 4, Boozer at the 4, Modest at the 3? Or do they move him to the bench? Because we might get somebody to play center in the off-season and free agency. It's a lot of different things. They're just curious to see what you had to say in regards to that because I was thinking about that. I'm like, damn, we really forgot we got Essengay coming back this year, plus Modest, plus whoever we get in the draft, plus who we might get at 15. Well, I'm really hoping is Cameron Carr. Like, I really hope that kid falls to 15 so where we can actually take him because he would be perfect next to Gabe, like with the way he plays. And he has sneaky hops. Like, he throws it on dudes and people don't realize that. I mean, he can shoot, he can handle the ball, he can defend, but he's athletic too, so that's going to be another athletic body we could put next to Gabe on top of that if he drops. If not, I'm not sure how the draft is going to fall, but like I said before, I like the kid from Kentucky, Queens. I was like, again, you were right about the kid from North Carolina. I watched some video on dude, and he's a house. He still has to get in the gym and everything, but he plays big, and he blocks shots and everything like that, too. So, but once again, about the Essengay thing, I just want to get your opinion. All right, bro. See you later.
There are 96 forward minutes. 96. So think about that. Even if, like, that means that Modest, Boozer, and Noah could all get 32 minutes. No, they're not all going to play that, but they could all get 32 minutes. Legitimately. So there's more than enough minutes to go around. I don't think we're at the point now where we need to worry about too much depth at a position. Stack the talent, stack the depth, try to develop them and see who's going to be because you've got the minutes to go around, and that's just the forward minutes. Guys like Leonard Miller, who's played, the 3, 4, and the 5 some. Noah Essengay, if he's put on the weight, maybe he can get some 5 minutes in there. Cam Boozer, maybe he can get some small, and we see Modest play at the 2, right? So there's more than enough minutes to go around because of where the Bulls roster is. And so I'm not worried about, I don't think Noah's being forgotten. It's about, let me not say, some fans are forgetting about Noah, but I'll say this too. It's up to Noah to show and prove, hey, you can't forget about me because I got talent here. And as far as Carr, I think he'd be perfect, not just even next to Giddey, because, you know, some people are like, well, we know if Giddey's going to be here, slap. I'll say this. Carmen Carr is also a perfect fit next to Modest Buzelis because he doesn't need the ball in his hands, which gives Modest, who does need the ball in his hands, more opportunity to have that. And Cam Carr, because of his off-ball shooting and scoring, is great. Defense, great, right? Like all those type of things. So I think that those are things that are going to really work out for this team, and we'll see if Cameron Carr can fall to the Chicago Bulls. But that's going to do it for today, y'all. I know a little bit longer of an episode than we normally do. I try to stay in that 20, 25-minute range, but I want to hear from you guys always in regards to it. I never want to cut things short, so I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. Let me know what you guys think about what this offseason has done to reinstill your faith in the Chicago Bulls. Who's your favorite coaching candidate out of the list of names that we know about so far? And how excited are you for the draft, which is about exactly a month away? We got 30 more days until the draft. I can't wait to get to it, man. But make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel as well, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or an upload. You guys can follow us at Bull Central Pod on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.